human, outside of
Definitely.
being a mother. Because I think that we come from a world, especially in our community of the church, like we come from a place where we are always told, Ruti, as Mdesfazane, these are the things that you should do. You know, you have to dress a certain way, you have to speak to people a certain way, specifically men, and this is how you need to operate in your household, etc., etc. But then you look around and you think,
Yeah.
but not all of us, you know, are married women, and not all of us aspire to that. Or, you know, there are other things that as a young girl or a young female, you would like to do, you know. And I think I want people to see that there's definitely so much more outside of the roles that we are being given, just to differentiate between a role and the essence of you know, being that female or that person, you know, just to balance those two.
Definitely.
You are yourself, and this is just a part that you play in society, but it doesn't define who you are.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Definitely.
what would you taking from that, you know, tell a young female who probably has different views, or who's aspiring to be better than a man out there, or, you know, who's aspiring to be better than another female, just to give them that sense of self-worth? What would you say to them?
I think I want to give advice that I would have liked someone to give to me when I didn't know any better. I think number one would be know yourself. Know yourself outside of like everything else, outside of being someone's sister, outside of being someone's daughter. Think about who you are. Think about what you love to do. Think about the things that really, you know, when you do them, you just feel alive. Think about the things that you're good at. The things that when you do them, they're so effortless that people are like, yo, sure, are you really good at this thing? But it's like, oh, but I'm just, you know, I'm just doing what I love, you know. Think about those. Think about what you would want your children, your grandchildren, to be the type of woman you'd want them to view you as. And I think it's too late to start building that person at 40, because you've acquired so many habits for these 40 years. What are the chances of becoming a whole nother person down the line, you know? So these are conversations you should be having with yourself very early on, but it requires you to be really self-aware and to really judge yourself and to really relearn and unlearn a lot.
That's important. That is definitely important. Yeah.
Definitely. So I'd say at round about like 16, think about those things, because that's when a lot of the influence comes in. Your parents want you to be this, you know, your friends see you as that, and so on and so forth. Like so much of people's opinions around who you might be or who you are end up shaping who you want to become. But the vision of who you want to be solely lies on you, literally. You know, so I'd say it's that. I'd say number one would be definitely understanding and really committing to knowing yourself and understanding yourself. And if I can go into something really controversial, you know, I would say when it comes to knowing yourself, isolation is key. You know, so they like acquaintances are good. I love acquaintances because it's people you can have a very human experience with, but who don't have an influence on your influence about yourself, because it's like, okay, well, it's just an acquaintance. So even if they said I'm a mean person, I wouldn't be quick to be like, yo, they're probably right. It's more like, are they, let me check back, let me see. You're more likely to really think deeply about their opinions of you.
Yeah.
But if you call someone a friend, it's so different. As soon as you say someone's your friend, if they say, oh, you look ugly today, you take it to heart. Like, ugh, okay, they're probably right because they know me from yesterday and the day before that. So I'd say isolation is really important. And number two, isolation from, so-called friendships, I think is important. And number two, I think also as a young woman, it's definitely from relationships. Um, I really, to be quite honest with you, if you think back, like what was the need for all of that? Um, like what was the need for the emotional strain on your poor little brain, your poor little heart? Like you didn't know anything. And at that age, really, no one's gonna marry you, and that's unwise.
I like how you put it. No one's gonna marry you. You're too young.
Like no one,
Yeah.
no 16-year-old guy is thinking, like it's not even crossing his mind. Like marrying you is not even crossing his mind.
True.
At 18, 17, 20, maybe ngalega 25, figure fine. But really, guys are not thinking about that. And if you're getting into relationships to get married at 16, stop and really just leave it, And I also believe it, like I look at a lot of people that I know that I would say relationships really made them the worst versions of themselves. It first of all, what they did is deprive them of relationships with their parents. Because think about that stage in your life when you have a boyfriend, you're fighting with your parents a lot of the time because you're coming back home late, all of that. And instead of really understanding who those people are and what they hope for you, and having open dialogue about what you hope for yourself, 90% of the time you're arguing about a boyfriend, who's probably chilling hard at home.
Who's not worried about you at all.
At all. At all. Like, I would say if someone gave me good advice, is I'm a relationship, like just stay out of it for the sake of yourself. For the sake of clarity, for the sake of really concentrating on izinto ezibalulekile, so yeah, that would be my second piece of advice. And I think my third piece of advice would be really have people in your corner, like women that you want to be like, and really engage with them.
Yes.
Like women that you look up to, engage with them so that you understand all the aspects of their life. Okay, this is what I'd like to take from this person. This is what I want to take from this person. And I'm not saying to engage if you want to be like an educated woman, engage with educated women with no husbands only. Engage with women who are not educated, who give their life to their husband and their kids. There's so much to take, and you don't need to choose a side. You can be everything, and you can embody all those characteristics from 5 different women and be the ultimate woman. So I think don't, like, if you don't be like, okay, this is where I'm going. Be very, very open-minded about the person you can be. Humans can literally become whatever they want to be. Literally.
Yes.
So I think definitely it would be that as well. Like, don't limit yourself, and especially early on. Like, if you want to be something, it must obviously be reasonable. But how could I be?
That's true.
I mean, what Black woman has a PhD in like astrophysics and maths and be like, I have never seen. Be the first. Be the first. And I promise you, so many people are going to support your dreams. People you don't expect, to do that. So yeah, I'd say those are definitely the top 3 things that I would give advice to any young woman who just wants to hone any skill that they have, and they really feel like this can take me far. Go for it.
Yeah, I truly agree with you. Yeah, when and you know the thing about it is that when you are in it in the moment, you don't actually realize it. Like, are we born when you're a 16-year-old and you're being told Uti is in danger and aibalekanga. To you, it's like, what? It's the only thing that I care about.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Literally.
And then
Literally.
Sinasiabuga says, Anazi, you know?
Shay, you know,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's always, you know what, when it comes to that stuff, I mean, I would say, I think the emotions of like a teenager are so dangerous.
Yours,
Like you can't tell them anything. And now, even when I think back, there was nothing to tell me about the things I wanted to do, you know. But I really encourage people or young girls to really go against the tide of what is deemed natural.
Mhm.
You know, especially when it's going to be to the detriment of your future.
Yes.
Really challenge things that, even if it means talking about them, especially to older people, I wouldn't suggest talking to people who are going through the exact same thing you're going through. You
Yeah.
know,
Because Anas needs to know get all
yeah,
in the same stage at the same time. Nobody has
exactly.
lived what you wanting to know. Yeah.
Exactly. So Ubuze, like, really sit with older women that you respect. Uzwe ngempela ukuthi, guys, ngaze ngamthanda umuntu nga-16, you know. Like, is it normal? Bazokutshela bathi it's normal, but sis, izophela sengathi ayikaze yenzeke.
Yeah.
You see, so like, surround yourself. Don't solo you with people your age and stuff. Listen to your parents. Sure, when I say listen to your parents, I mean those conversations that you have, Jay, about TV. Really engage with your parents, engage with older siblings, engage with all the people maybe at church or nabo that you have close relationships with.
Yeah.
Don't stick to what you know and tell yourself, "Uti, older people don't understand us." Like, how did older people get to be older people first?
Exactly.
You know?
They all went through what you're going through. You know, there's so much wisdom there, eh? Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing that a 16-year-old can tell like a 25-year-old.
Nothing.
This is what's happening. You don't understand. Like, what do you mean I don't understand? Like, what are you talking about? I was also 16. I didn't jump to the age I'm in, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would definitely be that.
Yeah. And also just being, I mean, that helps in staying grounded, and also to what you said about isolation. I think that in the world that we're in now of social media, so much is flawed, you know, with the perceptions and the standards that are being shoved down our throats. And I feel, Mina, personally, like I fear for those growing up right now, because that's all they see. And I don't know, I just don't want them to lose, you know, the beauty of being themselves, you know, just because of what is surrounding us at the moment. And it's so important what you're saying, Muti, hlala kulabo bantu labo around you, abadala, you know, get wisdom from them, engage with them, you know, about what life is basically, because what we see on social media is not it. You know, it's not real. It's just,
not at all.
it's a facade. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. You know, if I could give you an example about how detrimental this thing of social media can be, I was watching, I think it was a live. It was, I don't know if you know Cardi B, the rapper.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a live, and in the background she was playing her new song, You Up. So she's playing the song. Her door, like the door in her bathroom, is like slightly open, and she sees her daughter like walk in. So obviously, if you're having a live, like I can see what's behind me. So she sees her daughter walk in, and she just went crazy. Like she switched off she switched off her radio, and she just hugged her. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for making you hear all that music." And people were like, "Haibo, when are you making in music? In hundreds they listen to that music, but in anyako uthi
Yeah.
ingayilale." Yabona? So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that people are just making money. People are just making
True.
money. Like nothing on literally social media is virtual reality that
Yeah.
makes money,
That's true.
So no one should be taking things seriously, like to the point where you feel like I'm not good enough or my life sucks or like that's not even real. Like no one's going to be posting themselves crying,
Yeah.
Parents are making vulgar music for older people, and you're making your little child listen to that when even the person who wrote the song was like, my child will never listen to this. Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
so warped. Like you have to be really smart, and you have to be really grounded to see through a lot of stuff. Like I'll go on cleanses of social media when I do feel like it's sick, because I like I literally have arguments with my partner about like stop watching the news, like I don't want to wake up and the first thing I do is watch the news.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I
true.
want
I
to
don't.
prepare my day, and I
Yes.
want to, I want to manifest my day. I want to
Mm.
write down everything I hope to achieve by the end of the day. And I want, to just breathe it in. I want to create it in my mind. I want to see it happen. I want to hear it happen around me. So the negativity, sometimes I'm like, it's too much. I don't
It
read this so
is.
early in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'll put like slots where I'll read up on what's happening. Like, okay, maybe at like 1, let me see what's happening in the world, just so that I'm not completely confused.
True.
And then
Yeah.
that's that also. And then I bring myself towards myself, I carry on with life. So you have to put measures in place to protect your peace, even if
Yeah.
that means on your Facebook, you'll be off for like 3 months, then on for 1, off for 3, on for 1. You'll realize how useless this stuff is. You'll realize how much time you have to do the things that you want to do, that you keep saying, I don't have time for this. You say, I want to jog in the morning, but you're literally up from 6 on your phone up until 7:30 when you take a shower. You have that 1
Yeah.
hour and a half,
You do. Yes.
to walk out the door and stretch. Just take a walk down the road, your head even clear, to read just for
Yeah.
20 minutes. Because if you want to be good at something, like people want to be good at things they're not willing to put in the work for. So I had arguments with my cousin. I really want to be good at maths. I'm like, you don't even do maths for 1 hour a day. Literally, you can't even stick to that. So how are you going to be good at it? So
Exactly.
we continuously need to invest in the things that are important. But where does that take me back? It takes me back to be aware. And the only way you're aware is not if it's in your mind, is if you write it down. Like have a book where you write down things like, I really want to jog for 1 hour
Yeah.
every second day. I really want to eat healthily. I really want to make sure, okay, I only eat takeaways on a Saturday or a Sunday, or I only eat takeaways twice a week on a Wednesday and a Saturday. Like stick to those things. If that's difficult for you to do, if you just write that, actually write out a schedule. Like, okay, I'm going to eat this on Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday takeaway, then Thursday, Friday, because even thinking about making food is what makes you buy takeaways. Like you have to know the things that trigger you, and you have to be wise enough to not make them trigger you and counterattack those bad habits. But you have to
Yeah.
be really serious, because it takes work to
Yeah.
shed off one habit and adopt another one.
Yeah.
So, it's really things like that, for me, where I feel like young people really need to think about what's important to them, and what are they willing to do for those things to happen.
Yes.
And the only way they can happen is if you are willing.
Mm, I think I lost you. Um, Can you hear me? I don't know now. Sando.
Hi, Shudu. Okay, still good.
So I don't know, Guti, the previous thingy, is it still recording or I've lost it?
Yeah.
I hope I didn't lose it.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can see it on my side, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there. Okay. So sorry about that. I thought it kicked us out. So you were just protecting one's
your mental health, basically, yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I like to bring it back to my spirituality. I like to keep away. The isolation for me is for me to connect spiritually to the world, you know.
Definitely.
And it takes so much work. It's not as easy as it sounds, you know, to say, okay,
definitely, yeah.
You know, to wake up and think, Guti, this is what I'm going to do. It takes so much work, and it needs one to be very intentional.
Yeah.
I think that it's very vital to develop those habits while you are still young. It's not, I think we most of the time get to our 20s and then that's when it hits us, Guti. Oh my gosh, I have to level up. I have to now start doing good things. I need to, you know, start personal development, etc., etc. Gandhi, it actually can start as young as 16, like you say, you know.
Definitely.
It's very important. I think for me, everything is spiritually connected.
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but yonke into like that you are exposed to has that effect not only on your mental state but also on your spiritual state. And if you don't take care of that spiritual space, it can be at a detriment to one, you know. So
definitely,
yeah, I think definitely people should, like young people should take that into consideration, Lucy. It's not everything is really about friends and social media. You do need to connect with the universe, you know. And there is so much power in that. Just knowing things for yourself, reading books, you know, coloring in, just simple things. And taking a walk can do wonders for you that you don't even think about. You know, it has things. It has so much cleansing power to your brain. Like you develop so much. There's so many things. I would go into, like your hormones, your cortisol, etc. Stuff like that. Like exercise is so important. And I think that what I have learned or noticed is that when I was in school, you know, we did extramurals, for example, and to us it was just extramurals. It was just sports. We needed to do it, for PE, blah blah blah. But now you realize once you've finished school, you know, it's up to you to continue to do that for yourself.
Exactly.
And so I used to exercise, you know, I used to play netball, I used to do this and that. And I could multitask. I'm so much happier. This in this life, man, we move. But now isn't that
definitely?
And you know, it's because there's no one to tell you, Guti, now you need to exercise. Here's your PE slot. And they don't, I think it's one of the things that I would probably say I would have liked to be told, Ruti, this is the importance of you doing PE, not just it's not just because it's in the timetable. It's a life skill that you need, you know, to keep yourself going, to keep yourself healthy. And because I do right now, Oti, write down your goals, study hard, get the next degree, move a level higher,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
no.
So it's really important that young people actually heed to that and just take it upon yourself to inspire yourself. I think there are so many people around us that we can learn from,
Yes.
that have done amazing things that aren't to be seen
Mhm.
on a social media platform, that aren't to be
Yes,
seen on television. But if you would
exactly.
just open your
Exactly.
eyes and learn from the person next to you, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely, definitely. And to add on to, the spiritual health that you were speaking on, I think when we understand that we are we are like Tando is the spirit, like Tando is not the flesh.
Mm.
And when I understand that Tando is having a human experience for the next 70, 80 years, I will realize how important it is to take care of my spirit, which is which stems from what goes on in my mind, um, the knowledge that I acquire is literally the only thing that will stick with me even when I die, you know.
Mm.
The beauty, if I were to have, surgery, if I were to, build the physical aspects of my life, I can lose that at any second. But my
Yeah.
spirit will never lose the wisdom, will never lose the knowledge that
Yeah.
I equip myself with
Yes.
throughout my life.
Yes.
So, in understanding that really things that I do for my flesh are just so life can be comfortable for the next few years. But
Yeah.
there's so much that I need to acquire in my soul, in who I actually am, that I should be concentrating on.
Yes.
So when we understand that, we keep the body healthy because you keep the house clean, um,
Yes.
just so life can be comfortable and all of that. But kahle kahle, umuntu that I'm supposed to be taking care of is the thoughts that I have when challenges come along, the mind that says, you can do this, girl.
Mm.
Don't worry, you're going to be fine. Wake up tomorrow, go for it again.
Yes.
Honing that sort of spirit in myself, other than a spirit of, well, you failed the other time, so I don't know why you thought it's gonna happen now. So fighting, learning to counterattack those things are basically just habits. All we
Yeah.
should be doing, Tina, is shaping our mind, because
Yes.
our mind feeds into who we are, and it feeds into our spirit. It feeds into our spirituality. It feeds
Exactly.
into our beliefs about our faith.
Yes.
Faith really has to do with the spirit, and the spirit really has to do with the things that go on in my
Yeah.
mind.
Which is
So if
why,
I take
yeah.
care of that, I'm good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why it's important to be careful of the things that you take in, the things that
Yeah,
we watch, things that we listen to, things that
exactly.
we kind of put ourselves or align ourselves with, because
Yes,
that
definitely.
sticks, and once it's in your subconscious, it takes
Definitely.
a while to cleanse that out of your system. Okay. Yeah.
First, you have to identify. I mean, it's one thing to know that you're engaging in something that's a really bad habit. I mean, it's one thing,
Yes.
to identify it.
Yeah.
Like those things
Yeah.
are completely different. Like you have to first admit that, what, every time I am faced with a challenging aspect of my life, I feel like I'm failing and I should just leave it. You have to be able to identify that in yourself and see that this is something I don't want ukuthi ihlale engqondweni yami. This is not
True.
umuntu that I want to be, you know. Then only can I work through finding out how can I best deal with, or rather, pick at this bad habits or these bad thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So the work of the spirit is, it's so immense, and it never ends, because really, if you get to a point where you're like, I'm perfect, You know, how likely are you to get there? You know, it's
Yeah.
always, wow, I could really do better at this. I could really manage my anger more. I could really, you know, manage my reactive personality. Because
Yes.
also those are bad habits that every time something happens when you always have to react. And sometimes if into yenzeka, you have to teach yourself to block it out, come within yourself, figure out, is this, and ask yourself a few questions. Is it worth it? You know, if I don't fix it, what's the worst that could happen? If I fix it, what's the worst that could happen? And
Yeah.
choose which path to take. You know, those are skills that 99% of humans, you know, don't have. About to find
Yes.
themselves in situations where they're like, yo, I wish I reacted so much better to this situation. You know, I actually made it so much worse by reacting to it.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's one thing to be able to see that it's wrong, that, wow, I'm such a reactive person. I'm reacting to literally everything that happens in my life.
Mhm.
And then, you know, getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I've seen that I'm reactive, and how do I get past it? So yeah, I think as humans, we have to be willing to understand that we are as a result of so many things, and to become the people that we want to be requires a lot of unlearning, requires a lot of relearning, and requires a
Mhm.
lot of isolation. Like we were saying, as the main theme of this whole conversation is stepping away from everything, everyone, and figuring out, who do I want to be, how far am I, and how do I get there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sure. So, bringing it back to Women's Month, what would you say, like, as your last words to a young female who is still figuring themselves out, to an elderly female who would probably might or might not have learned something new, or who obviously has a certain, belief from their experience, and also
Mm.
to young men out there and older men, what would you like them to be aware of in the month of August and going forward,
Mm.
in
Yeah.
relation to females and women,
Yeah.
in general?
Yeah. I think when it comes to men, I think of any and every age, I won't be specific. I
Mhm.
think it is loving women. And when I say loving, I don't mean in a very, sexual, romantic sense.
Yes.
Um, every man was raised by their mother, but not every man was raised by their dad.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
men know the love of a woman. If it
Yes.
was not the woman who birthed them, it is a woman that they chose to spend the rest of their lives with.
Yes. Yes.
Um, Men know what the love of a woman can do to a home, and can do to, the future of communities. This is not new. I mean, everyone, not even just men, were like, a lot of people were raised on measly incomes, but their
Mm.
parents, or rather their mothers, made things happen.
Yes.
um, they
Yes.
loved them unconditionally,
Yeah.
sometimes protected them
Mhm.
when they were wrong, um, sometimes backed them up when they raped, when they stole. You know,
Mhm.
women have been so forthcoming in protecting men that it just came naturally, even if it meant other women hated them. So really, no one needs to teach men the respect and love that women deserve. Um, so I can say, if you are a man out there and you have difficulties respecting and loving women, don't look outwardly, look inwardly.
Yes.
Because outwardly,
Love
women have
it.
been proving themselves for from the beginning of time. They've been
Mm.
proving their worth, they've been proving how unconditional their love is.
Yes.
So if you find yourself hating and hurting a woman, um, really sit down and have a conversation with yourself about why? How am I acting like this? Why am I acting like this? Instead of looking outside and saying, well, she provoked me, or, she deserves it. Really look at yourself and really think about the type of man that you wish your dad was to your mom, the type of man you wish your sister's husband was to her, and become that person. And really look at women from a very humane lens. Women are not rocks. Women are not God. Women they bleed, they hurt, they have just become really better at hiding it. But a lot happens behind the face that we see of the woman that we love. So that would definitely be my advice for men. I think for women, my parting words would be, don't be fazed by the turmoil in the world and turn your back on what comes naturally to you. If you are a caring person, there's nothing wrong with that. If you are a loving, if that's who you are, which I believe we all inherently have in us, do not try to be tough. Do not mask your pain. Speak your pain to other women. Speak your pain to people who are willing to listen. But more than anything, I would say deal with your pain. Deal with the pain that other women have caused to you. Deal with the pain that men have caused to you, so that you can become the best version of yourself. Let us not, bask in being in pain as women, and be bitter women. Let's not do that. Let's move past the things that we can move past, and let us use them more as lessons rather than as red lights for other women not to be comfortable in particular spaces with particular people. So let's not put any red tape on who people should become based on the pain that we felt. Rather, be an amber light and be like, move forward, but with caution. Move forward, but know that other people are like this. Move forward, but understand that these things can happen with you. Equip other women on how to deal with situations, rather than, making them feel bad that they don't understand, or wanting to instill fear, or wanting to instill pain of things that they never went through. No one should be afraid of a man, but we should definitely be careful of certain types of men. So with that mentality, I'm equipped to deal with narcissistic men. I'm equipped to deal with abusive men, but I will not deprive myself of an opportunity to be with an amazing man for the rest of my life because of the experiences of other women around. I think just to simply put it, that would definitely be my parting words.
Sure. I mean, I don't even know what to say. That is very profound. I love what you're saying, Wuti. Don't deprive yourself of having a unique experience. I think it's very important to sympathize and empathize with other women, but also allowing ourselves to do or be in partnerships or in spaces that we would love to be in. And just I think the important thing is knowing oneself. Like once you know who you are able to navigate the spaces around you. Sure. Okay, so with that, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me, having this dialogue. I think I learned quite a lot. I'm very grateful, and I hope that someone watching really takes away quite a bit from what you said. There's so much to be learned, and I think every single day is an opportunity to learn something new. Each of us have only lived for the number of days that we have lived, and I think that it is important to understand that nobody is perfect, you know. So
Definitely.
yeah, I think we should empathize with every situation, but also standing fast in what we know and equip
Yeah,
yourselves. Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you
Yes.
so
Thank you so
much.
much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Miss Shuni.